Yo, yo, yo. That's my epic YouTuber impression.
All right.
Welcome
Yeah,
to Bonanza Banter, where we're going to banter about
about
Kid Nation
Bonanza.
for
Yeah.
forever how long we decide to.
The
Mhm.
one and only Kid Nation podcast.
One and only. No others. Don't fact check
Mhm.
us on that, alright?
Mhm.
Uh
Don't accept any imitations.
no
Mhm.
they're all fakers, man. Look, the Kid Nation, we planned that before all the others. But
Yeah, it's
then they
true,
had to
bro.
take it from us.
Yeah.
It
Both
was
of them.
disgusting. Anyway, I'm Tilt, Unfair Tilt, owner of the biggest Kid Nation Discord server on the planet, universally acclaimed. Everyone loves it. Uh, AKA John on the
Mhm.
podcast. And this is going to be a very interesting experience that
I'm Nick.
everyone will love.
I'm Nick. I'm epic. This is Sam. He's
Yeah.
epic.
I'm very gamer.
And also with us is Eric Barber, but you probably already know him from the Kid Nation interviews.
Yo, yo, yo. That's just my impression of Tilt as a bad YouTuber. Making
Whoa.
videos on K-Nation myself. So.
All right. Before we get into the video, we need to talk about our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legend. No.
Let's see. I'm not sure if we're even big enough at all to get sponsors yet.
No.
So I mean, in the future, that would be what we said. Hey, Raid, hit us up.
Mhm.
But
Maybe.
for right now, we'll keep it quiet. We don't need free sponsors going out there, Sam.
You know, it's true. I'll edit that one out. But we do have ad slots open, so.
Yeah, of course. If any
Yeah.
sponsors are out there, come on, hit us up.
Oh boy.
So yeah. Wait, you want a sponsor?
Yo, what?
Yes.
Wait, what?
All right, we'll put your channel description. We'll put your channel in the description as long as we get a payment afterwards. $100 up, Eric.
I'll pay $5 a view, bro. That's to show how many views I think this bad boy is gonna get.
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds like an insult. That actually kind of sounds. I'm not sure what to think of that one.
Bro, I mean, I'm on here. I'm on here already, bro.
Well, the truth is, we didn't tell you, but the thing you signed actually legally obligates you to pay us after the podcast.
Whoa.
So.
All right, bet.
Yeah, sorry, Eric. Your YouTube channel actually belongs to us now.
Eric already has his lawyers on us.
Another brilliant maneuver.
So, first things first, how'd y'all find the show?
I found it because you introduced it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So how you find it?
I found it from a YouTube video, I think 4 years ago or maybe 3 years ago. And it was top 10 weirdest reality shows. And on number 2 or whatever, they talked about Kid Nation.
Well, what
I
was number
instantly
one?
stopped. I don't even remember. That's the thing.
Good peek.
Once they got to
Why
Kid
do you
Na-
remember number 2 and not number 1?
because Kid Nation is the only thing that caught my interest in that video.
Dang.
The second they described Kid Nation, I bounced out of there to go check if it was on YouTube.
Huh.
And it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I just found it because literally the same way everyone else found it through the JonTron video. I am not special. I'm one of the 1 million people who saw the JonTron video and said, "Hey, man, that's fucked up. Man, I
You
should go
make
check
me-
that out."
You make me sick.
How
Yeah.
could you? Not fake fan.
Fake fan.
Nah. That's funny. That JonTron
Yeah,
video
you-
freaking blew up.
Mhm.
So that is, it's like 5 million or something number of views.
Me and Sam were so shocked when JonTron actually covered that though, because we had watched Kid Nation at least twice between us.
Yeah, it felt like very weird to see like here's the show that we just watched blowing up just after
Hmm.
we watched it. That was pretty
So how'd
interesting.
you get into it, Eric?
You know, unlike all the rest of you fake fans, I actually saw it in 2007 when it was originally airing. It was
Yo,
Oh,
recommended
dang.
from
Wow.
my dad. Yeah,
the OG right?
yeah, I was
Yeah.
probably 7 years old. I want to say 8 years old. I was in fourth grade, so if anyone remembers what age that was. And actually, this
Damn.
is weird as well. I actually remember this show really well because there's a kid that looked like Alex in my fourth grade class who was also named Alex, unrelated. But
Huh.
Yeah,
that's just something.
Maybe it was him.
Anyways,
You should have asked him
yeah,
for an
the
interview at
Alex,
7.
dude.
Yeah.
dude, I wish, but it's not, bro. I checked the last names like 100
Aw,
times.
dang. Yeah, I mean, you had the aspirations when you were younger to meet the people on
Oh yeah, for sure.
Nation.
So it started it all.
Yeah. So yeah, how did you get into the interviews? I know this, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
Yeah, so it started with I made my first Kid Nation video called the Kid Nation tier list video. Now this might be a little bit weird. I don't think I told anyone this one, but it was a video that I've been working on for like a few days after the JonTron video because I just sort of knew that with JonTron's attention it'd do well. So I rewatched the show for the video, and I actually wanted to get it out quick because I sort of thought that John Todd would make his own Condition Tier List video. I don't know where I had this notion in my head, but I was like, shit, if I people are gonna call me a copycat no matter what, even if I make a
Mhm.
general Condition video, but if my tier list video comes out after John Tron's, then I'm really fucked, you know. I might as well not even upload it.
Mhm.
So I actually rushed to put it together because again I had some weird notion that John Tron was gonna make his own tier list video on Condition. And then after that, DK commented on my video. He was like, "Yeah, I'm a drama queen, guys," because I referenced him as that. And I thought I was like, what the hell? I might as well make a Where Are They Now video. These people are easy enough to reach and find. And I was like, what? I'm just gonna make it a three-parter. I'm gonna get DK. I'm gonna do three Nation videos, and then that's that. I'm gonna find something else to make lots of videos on. And then I joined your freaking Discord server till, and then you're like, hey, we found Anjay and Laurel on Twitter. It's like maybe you could interview both of them. I was like, I'm not an interviewer, but fuck it, dude, let's do it. And now I'm on goddamn 13 Kid Nation interviews. And we're
No,
going.
though,
So
you do a good job. Yeah, like the
thank you,
interviews
bro.
are
I
good.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. It honestly has been a good experience. I've been learning a lot from it and definitely improving as an interviewer, which is I'd say is a pretty good skill for anyone wanting to get involved with media or YouTube. So I do appreciate that, Till. I was just having some jest with you, bro.
Mhm.
Well, the funny thing about it too was before I contacted you for the Anjay interview, before the DK interview, like even happened.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, it was just because you talked about like getting a council member on for an interview. I'm like, oh wait, did he contact Anjay as well? And I'm
Oh
like,
shit,
yeah.
yes.
So I was scared like you also got Anjay, and we're gonna have two Anjay interviews at the same time. But then after I learned it's DK, it's like, hey, might as well work together here.
Yeah, dude, and that's what struck up a beautiful Kid Nation partnership. Like
Yeah.
freaking Greg and Blaine.
See, I think the interviews are really fascinating because like you get bits and pieces, but then these interviews like blow it open, like the whole thing.
Mhm.
You see
Mhm.
all of the secrets.
No, yeah, exactly. Like when me and Sam watched the show together the first time, we came up with like this rich catalog of deep lore. deep lore about like, bruh, the real story of Kid Nation is these kids resisting seditious producer influence, like
Yeah,
through
like
the journal, through the class system, like all that stuff. But like the Olivia interview, when I watched that, it felt like I was vindicated in that theory.
it did, dude. It was like like there was so much confirmation of stuff I thought was happening, but just thought was happening.
Hmm.
It's really like it's fascinating how much Kid Nation is a fight against the producers.
The eternal struggle against Karsh.
Uh, on the notion of the tier list video, do you think you would like change? And I guess this goes to everybody too. Like, how would you rank the tier list, and would you change it all, Eric, from the one you did?
I mean, I actually made my own tier list.
Oh, you
Yo,
did?
I think I
Yeah,
remember you sending me that.
yeah. It was a little controversial because I put Taylor on the second highest spot.
Oh yeah, I
Oh,
do recall
dang.
that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Yeah,
It's a little bit controversial, man.
of course,
Jared,
Greg was at the very top, but
of course, Greg is double S tier.
mhm.
Yeah, so like, would you change it at all? Because I know everybody's asking, like, after the interviews, they're like, oh, well, how would you rate it now that you've done the interviews? But, like, do you think
Uh,
you'd change it at all?
yeah, dude, good question, dude. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, so I definitely have gotten a lot of criticisms about like the whole tier list as a whole. Um, and I have gotten a few like suggestions for tweaks. I'm gonna go off and say this off the bat. I made the F minus category purely for thumbnail clicks. If you want to be technical, Taylor and Divide would just be an F tier. I don't think they're actually F minus. In the original version of it, they would have been F, but F minus, fits perfectly on the thumbnail. Looks perfect. Looks very clickable. But in the grand scheme of things, no, I would not ultimately change up a whole lot because I mean the whole thing was based off like my experiences watching the show and how I perceived them as they
Mhm.
were. Obviously if for instance, if we had an interview with Devad, I'm sure she would have been a lot more pleasant than an F minus person. There's very few people
Right.
that you'll get on for a show and they'll be an F minus when you're talking to them when they get a chance to explain themselves to you. On that note of Taylor and Devad being so low, probably my most frequent criticism on the tier list is that I'm a fucking sexist and a reprehensible guy because I have a lot of women rated lowly and a lot of guys rated highly. And even for the woman that I did rate high, I think for Morgan, I said Morgan was very supportive and was had some like motherly instincts that provided support, and that got bashed kind of a lot too because they're like, are you saying women are only valued when they have womanly instincts?
Dang.
That seems
And,
unfair though, because like that was her thing. That
Yeah.
she was like,
right,
See, I think
right,
a lot of that comes from the producers, like how they cut things
yeah,
together. Like if
right.
you're
Yeah,
So
watching
producers are
only from
sexist.
the show's perspective, you're seeing what they want to see, and they didn't really focus on the
exactly.
girls.
Like the producers actually typecasted these people, Like the whole Anjay interview where they talked about like the 300-page questionnaire he had to fill out.
Yeah, like I'm convinced that
exactly.
a lot of these kids were picked because they'd fulfill the stereotypes they wanted on the show. They'd create the
Yeah,
context they wanted.
exactly.
100%,
Yeah.
100%. And just as a little bit of a defense on my end, so I would say yes, you guys are absolutely right. Every single person was brought onto that show because they were typecast, all the way from Anjay being the Indian kid with the bowl haircut to small characters like Maggie being the goth.
Hmm.
Like every single person was, and I think the show was a little bit unfair in their portrayal or their value of work, I'd say I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, like the task that people seem to respect the most on that show, like in terms of work, was probably hauling water. Like that's the
Mhm.
hardest task, and that's the one that everyone gets the most props for. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, the biggest freaking water haulers were Greg, Blaine, Nathan, Hunter. That's like what they were known
Mhm.
for. And again, on that supportive comment, yeah, I could see how that could be misconstrued. But I'd say, you know what, dude, take 40 kids away from their fucking parents for 40 days, dude, and being in this weird ass Lord of the Flies controlled environment set
Yeah.
up by
Uh-huh.
producers. Like, yeah, support is like 10 million% needed, and it's like the importance of being a parental figure towards some of the younger kids is just amplified to exponential degrees, because I mean these kids are so deprivated of like even a fucking showdown reward was a letter from home, like they were
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Yeah,
deprived
like the
of
toilets.
actual.
Are you kidding me with the
Are you?
toilet
Yeah, no. The
situation?
first one was indefensible. The fact that they were like, okay, so these 40 kids are using this one disgusting outhouse, right?
Oh
If
man.
if
But
they
Brett did
win,
have a
there's no
point, though.
guarantee. There's
But
no
Brett did have
guarantee
a
that they
point.
will. There's no guarantee that they will actually win. But if they win, their choice is between a television, which is obviously put there to
I mean, what are
trick
you gonna do when
kids.
the tornado comes? What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
Their
You'll
choice is between a television and 7 more outhouses.
It's
Yeah,
such
if
like a
you get the
freaking
outhouses, you'll just be stuck in there when the tornado comes, and
And
the
what was
outhouses will be picked up by the tornado.
and perhaps what wasn't surprising was there were still kids who were like TV, TV. You
I think
know.
that's part of what like is so messed up about that is that it's such a trap. It's a trap of a
Uh-huh.
choice.
Yeah, no. The producers were absolutely thinking like the kids will short-sightedly pick the TV and suffer for their choice later.
It's sweet karma.
You know what is interesting? I honestly believe like they were going to win that showdown no matter what, especially because there were no like timers on set. It was literally
Yeah.
just Jonathan Karsh with like his own his own watch and like a little earpiece in his ear just by producers telling him, when to say certain times, from some interviews we've heard that like, they'd be like Jonathan Carr should be like 10 minutes, and then he'd say 5 minutes right afterwards, just so he'd have the lines later for the
Yeah,
show.
like
You
Mhm.
it
know,
makes
so
you
I
there's
think
a lot of stuff that you don't see from the show's perspective. Yeah.
right. So they were going to win. Like my guess, probably no matter what. Like the fact that the green team wins it for everyone with 9 seconds to spare. Like I'm just
Mhm.
gonna call it bullshit. Like when they're
Yeah.
at 1 minute, they were still far away as hell from getting it.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
somehow they lost the pumps. Like, somehow they lost those. Like, maybe it just went too far for them. They're like, all right, we can't fake this one. They've like definitely lost this one.
Well, like
Yeah.
they did lose challenges, but I actually agree. I think there were times where the green team, that specific instance, I don't know if the producers could really justify not giving that reward.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that would be good to get.
So
That's why we need an interview with one of the producers, man. Because
Dude,
that would
if
yeah,
be
we could get
interesting to hear
Karsh
that.
on, oh my
yeah,
gosh,
Karsh would blow this whole case open.
that would be
That'd be
incredible.
crazy. That'd probably be a 2 hour interview.
There's just
For
so
real.
much to like he's at the core of most of my like
Mhm.
ideas about Kid Nation.
Like the probably the best Karsh moment in the show is in the first episode when he's organized the town. He's like, "Hey there, pioneers! Are you ready for our first challenge?" And Jimmy's just kind of standing there doing nothing. He's like, "What's wrong, Jimmy? Are you missing your parents?" And
It,
Jimmy just starts
it's just
bawling,
I
and
don't know
Karsh
if that's how
doesn't.
it even happened, but the way it's edited is so awful.
Yeah, and Karsh doesn't do anything. He doesn't like comfort the kid. He just then looks at all the other kids and says, "I bet we're all missing our parents, huh, guys?"
Oh, that moment is like so emblematic of Karsh to me.
Mm.
Facts.
Or like even later in the episode when he's giving people their first payout and he's like mocking the lower class for their
Oh
smaller
yeah,
pay.
he's like, "There's not much
Smile,
in
dude.
here," and then just tosses it to Laurel.
You
Yeah.
can see it in his smile how much he's relishing it. It's something.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, maybe that's because like they were usually a lot of them said that the kids want like to razz Jonathan a lot.
Uh-huh.
That was like revenge.
Yeah, probably. But then again, I don't think they'd be dabbing on Cars so early. You
Yeah,
know?
I don't think they'd do it on day 3. They'd probably still be kind of scared of him or something
Hmm.
at that point.
I think it's more like Karsh came off as such a rude, such a condescending, rude guy that then they decided to start razzing on him.
You know.
I mean,
Sorry.
well, so like they complain about him like every time during the challenges. He's just every like he's telling them how much time is left. Like, pick it up, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to lose the whole challenge for the whole town? Guys, you're going to really let down the whole town if you don't win this one. Like during the challenges.
Or like in the sheep wrestling competition, he just starts grilling kids randomly. He's like, Blaine, moving slowly. I don't know.
Man. Yeah, like the comments.
I don't know. I just thought it was kind of hilarious.
That's facts. In defense of Karsh, I will say, I mean, he was like a last minute, from what I understand, he was a last minute stand-in host.
He was never meant to be the host.
Yeah, I'm sure he's just doing what he thought a host should do, or like he was literally just repeating words that producers were telling him to say.
Well, he was also like a producer himself.
Right.
Like they basically just picked the most quote charismatic producers when their host fell through, and ended up being Karsh. And so he was both producer and host.
Right.
That
I thought he did
changes
a
some
decent
things.
job for what it was, to be honest.
He kind of made Kid Nation what it is. His for better or worse, I think he was a hilarious character to watch.
Was a lot of his personality comes from how he colors it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Also, I just want to ask real quick, like this is not super related, but what super fan edited the Kid Nation Wikipedia page? Like this is the most freaking like immaculate, exhaustive resource for Kid Nation information.
This must have came out probably like right around 2007 for most of it. I think that's where that's why all the information was so fresh, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just surprised or maybe even someone, I don't know. I wonder if the Kid Nation kids' full names were in the cast and the credits at any point. I never bothered to check, but I did think it's kind of crazy how there's so many first and last names for these kids.
Except Emily, the one that
except for Emily.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emily had none. Let me think. I know, like, yeah, I think it was just Emily that was missing one entirely.
Yeah, we found it pretty easily, surprisingly.
I'm wondering if it's like a thing her parents did to like protect her identity or something. Made some deal with the producers that her last name wouldn't be shown anywhere.
They knew the vegan thing was going to get her in trouble, so beforehand they made sure to not have her last name in.
She is not a vegan.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. She just didn't want to see the animals get killed. I don't know. It was understandable from the perspective of a stubborn child, but I think she maybe also wanted attention.
But then, like, for some reason, she also still watched it. Like, why would you watch it? Just go away.
I mean, everyone was there.
Not even everyone was there.
Oh, really?
It wasn't everybody. No, yeah, people were missing. Emily had the full choice to not go with.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was, I mean, and then, I think Greg said himself that Emily did eat some of the chicken anyway.
Oh, I mean, everyone.
No. Yeah, no. Greg was like he gloated about that quite a bit. That Emily just scarfed that chicken down.
Greg's such a character, man. Yeah, it was
Is.
like it's crazy. He's still like the same dude
I
after the
know
fact.
it blows my mind when you watch that interview how he's like exactly the same kind of person.
Yeah.
That
I
is
Really
found,
crazy.
yeah.
Did we ever get like what exactly he does now? Because he say he had a fire
Uh,
degree. People were saying he was a police officer.
I've
I
read
thought he was
before
an
that
auto
he's.
mechanic.
I've read before that he got a degree in like engineering or something.
Yeah, but you say he got a fire degree in the interview.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, then
I
he's a
know.
firefighter. Screw it. Let's just say he's a firefighter.
No, he definitely works in like auto mechanics for sure.
Mhm. He's a firefighter who fixes cars.
That's possible because I know he's not like super full time. I know he works for his parents' auto mechanic thing, but
Hmm.
he's not like a super featured guy on it. But he does have a lot of awards in it. I think he has like 17 awards
Uh,
in like auto mechanics. So
He could
not
be a
not that I even know what
volunteer.
that shit is,
Uh,
but
he could be a volunteer, like fire deputy or something.
that's possible. Yeah,
I
I think the
mean,
sheriff stuff's cap though. I've not
yeah,
heard
yeah.
that from anyone.
Well, that was
Mhm.
Laurel. Laurel was the one who said that on the fake poser podcast, Kid Nation Nation. Uh, Laurel did say that in an interview with them about the police officer thing.
Right, but I mean, at the end of the day, like Laurel doesn't have hasn't like heard from him. You know,
True.
it,
Yeah, exactly,
it's
exactly.
probably someone that commented on one of her videos and was like, "Yo, Greg's a cop," and
Uh,
not to. Yeah, I mean, I don't.
He fits
He
that
doesn't have any reason
personality
to
though.
not believe it.
no,
I
and I think that's exactly it. That it was an easy mental image for Laurel, and so she's like,
yeah.
"Yeah, I think he's like a cop or something."
We all know his true intents though to become a dictator
He's gonna
Hmm.
and
climb the
rule.
ladder.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
he's going up there. I do think it's funny though because I feel like him being a firefighter does fit his personality well. Like
Yeah,
most
Yeah.
most firefighters I know are kind of a bit douchey.
I
But, like,
don't
they
think
have thick
Greg's
skin 'cause they're
douchey.
firefighters.
Hold on here for a second. I just think he's a Chad, bruh.
I'm sorry.
Chad vibes.
Chat.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
I
My
think
bad.
I can get where you're coming from. I
Mhm.
kind of get the same vibe
You
sometimes
mean
from
you mean
firefighters.
like Greg, would you change anything like bullying those kids? And he's like, can't live in the past, man. I wouldn't change a thing.
No
Like,
regrets.
I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool.
Not even peeing in Nathan's canteen. Like, can't live in the past, man.
That is so funny to me. That's like an
Oh
actual
man.
thing that happened. That
Yeah.
Greg was such a I'm sorry, such a Chad that he decided to just piss in Nathan's.
Bro, that is not Chad material, bro. You got some sort of Greg delusions going on, bro.
Yeah,
Can we?
It could have been my guy. It could have been Blaine, and I would have still called that Chad. It could have been Emily, and I would have called that Chad. That's hilarious.
I'm a
Like,
pretty big fan of Greg in this situation.
It's just
Clearly, based on the podcast picture, you can
that
understand.
level of childlike evil that it takes to pee in somebody's canteen. Oh.
The story about like having to nominate Nathan is just
Yeah,
That's so
right. It's
funny.
crazy. Like that's the only reason Nathan got up. I'm sure the producers lied to them about there being no footage of Pharaoh. They were just saying that
Oh,
so they
they were
could nominate
absolute.
Nathan,
They
and
were
Nathan could feel
completely
good.
lying. I
Yeah,
guarantee that they were lying.
100%.
And
yeah.
yeah, Nathan was like the most political the political appointee for the Gold Star to
Greg
make
was
up
the
for
one who
Greg's
ruined the star
blunder.
for Pharaoh.
I
Yeah,
think it
true.
begs the question, and it begs the question: would you would you accept this happening to you for a gold star?
All right,
Well,
for the
here's the
record,
thing.
Nathan actually didn't drink it.
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
he only heard
Yeah.
about it. So
He was warned beforehand, so
Aw.
a disaster was
I mean, at
actually.
What do
least
you mean? Aw.
No, I think yeah, you're right, but like also, I feel like
It would
the
have been
star
funny
isn't
if,
worth
like-
being warned.
Yeah. Okay,
Like,
let's
nothing
say you
bad
did
came
drink
of
it
it.
though. Let's say you did take a swig. Would you take the swig for the gold star?
Dude, I would definitely.
I would, yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I would
that's
too.
enough
Dwight
Exactly.
the
money to
Easy.
warrant it.
Dwight
I
the
would
Easy.
take a swig of the piss chalice for $20,000.
Dude, I would.
Yeah, that's fair. 20,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think I'd
And then I
regret
could sue
not
Greg
doing it.
afterwards.
yeah,
And Kid
exactly.
Nation.
Get
And
your
Yeah,
yeah,
more
you
money.
2
can
gold stars.
sue Greg for child endangerment. Like,
Oh man.
Yeah, I
could
mean,
a
it is kind of
15-year-old
crazy
be
he didn't
sued?
go to juvie.
Mhm.
At least for a little bit afterwards. After that whole incident, they were the producer of Kid Nation just kept it all under wraps.
Brett,
Like
he couldn't have gone to juvie. Kid Nation was a sovereign country.
Yes,
it was
Brett.
it was separate.
A sovereign country under like active revolt.
Constant active revolt. The stages of governance in Kid Nation alone was like very interesting to go over,
I
or
mean,
to make like real life comparisons to.
yeah. It I just wish there was like, cause Michael talked about like them separating from Bonanza
Yeah,
or
yeah.
as the Green District. Like I wanted more of
Right.
that.
I
I
wish
want
they
more
had
of like
done an episode on that. Yeah.
They talked
yeah.
about seceding multiple times apparently.
We needed to
And
secede from Bonanza.
did you guys know Sophia's done, or Sophie? Yeah, Sophia's done like quite a few like more niche online interviews.
Oh
It's just
really?
that, yeah. I'm trying to. I have one of them archived,
Oh dang.
but the main topic of the interview was what she said to Guylan.
Oh
That got censored and everybody freaked out too.
yeah.
Freaked out about it or whatever. I'll try and find it.
That was just fuck you, Guile, she confirmed that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah, exactly.
Go
Yeah,
fuck yourself, Guylan.
Was it?
yeah. No, that's what it was. But
Okay.
like to the kids, that was apparently a pretty huge deal.
Yeah.
I bet.
mean,
I mean,
Yeah, because those are
like
pretty
Greg's
heavy.
understandable, but Sophia's a bit
Yeah.
weird to say it.
And to say it to a little, well, actually, it probably wasn't strange that there were curse words being thrown from older kids to little kids, because I guarantee Greg
Yeah.
was cussing out little kids.
I mean,
'Cause,
Anjay said they were all cussing like sailors.
well, didn't Greg, literally uncensored, Greg calls Devad the B word
a
in the
bitch.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was actually surprised that didn't get censored. But
Yeah.
like maybe the producers wanted to emphasize just how much of a bully Greg was being to kids.
So you got the point that he peed in Nathan's canteen without necessarily telling you that.
Yeah, they're trying to subliminally warn us that Greg
Yeah.
can't trust it.
This is what happened here.
Yeah.
Blink twice.
Well, I
if you
guess
need
maybe
help.
they allowed him to say bitch there because if you think about it, there would have been a lot of other words like, that people might have suggested. And honestly, like bitch is probably like the least offensive out of every swear word or
Right.
permutation of a swear word that
I mean,
could have
not
been
today for sure, but probably back.
Well, I don't think there's like
2007.
really many new swears nowadays.
Yeah,
Like,
but I
but
think the emphasis on
I just
the
think
B
it's
word
that
is a lot more
of
like
all the
considered
words in
sexist.
all the words in Greg's vocabulary, the B word was apparently pretty merciful. So
um, yeah, it's so crazy. Like none of the producers stepped in because they're so used to like reality TV where they just record the fights happening, like with adults. But then when it's with children, they do the exact same thing. Like they're not like we're gonna break it up. We're just gonna let them fight and do whatever, and we'll record it.
the producers wanted the town to melt down and be like constantly in a state of drama. They wanted that, I think. The Journal was constantly introducing things that were meant to backfire.
Oh yeah.
Like
Every
the
episode.
religion episode. Are you kidding me? Like
that was whack.
No, and it was clearly not out of the producers like it would be so magical to see these kids come together on religion. No, they were thinking, let's see these kids tear each other to pieces over minor religious differences, because that's exactly what happened.
Well, I think at some point they did, but I mean, I think every single obstacle they bring up, I think they want it to be like a very serialized show where every obstacle is sort of resolved at the end of the episode. So, I mean, they were pretty much begging Morgan to, host that campfire and everything. So I
Uh,
definitely think they wanted to have like a nice bow at the end of it and stuff.
well, they kind of had to because of how poorly it went earlier. Like,
I
Right,
uh
right.
I have a feeling that they cut the part of the politics episode just because there wasn't enough drama. Because all of the footage we've saw and all of the things that people have said, it was actually a pretty chill experience where they just talked openly and they cut it.
Right. Right.
So
So apparently what happened was they all went to the saloon and they were all just like, "Oh, what does someone think about this issue? What does someone think about that issue?" And you're right. It was like a super peaceful and actually a very productive conversation.
but they couldn't show it. The producers were like, "This doesn't make good television."
Yo, that's
Yeah, they
actually
kind of
super
blew it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Oh man, the my like perception of the show is evolving live.
Yeah, we have like recording of that with like I found it recently in Alex's. He like talked about gun control, I think, and like
Yeah.
it showed you the whole area, and they were all chill. Everyone was happy, but they can't show it on TV because not enough fighting,
Sad.
not enough swearing at children.
No, Greg should have sworn at somebody and tossed someone through a window. That would be good
Yeah.
TV.
You damn commie, threw him out.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just so like suspicious that they all came with it with like the normal reality TV approach, even though it was with children. They literally just came with it of the approach of like normal reality TV. They didn't change it at all.
Right. And what else is pretty interesting? I mean, I won't reveal like too much, but having spoken to some producers, not for an interview or anything, um, a lot of stuff apparently from like a production side was like pretty much identical in some aspects. For instance, some of the showdown challenges were actually repeats of showdown challenges on other reality shows. Apparently, that's something that goes on a lot in the reality show world. There's only so many showdowns that you can do. So yeah, I mean, a lot of elements were definitely like verbatim stuff that's happened in other reality shows and such.
Which like further confirms while making this, they literally just said, "Let's do Survivor but with children." Like
That's fact.
This
That's
is a really good idea.
yeah.
does Greg's black market count into the greater idea of a child struggle against the producers, you think? Or is that a separate thing?
I feel like the origin of it definitely does, because didn't they break into the
Yeah, they broke
food
into the producer camp and then started started like selling off producer snacks and stuff. Like the
Yeah, they sold them fast.
Mhm.
That was cool.
Dang.
Like there was apparently an entire black market of smuggled producer snacks.
What I think is most interesting is that about that is that Greg says by the time they figured it out, like they had no evidence it was them.
Exactly.
Yeah, Greg, ever the subtle operator. Like when night one, he just wrote giant chalk blue on the bump of everybody else.
I wonder who did
Asserting
that.
dominance.
Like it's just surprising to me that a guy that subtle could have maintained the black market.
Well, so he was trying to lure them into an ease because they're all like, "Oh, Greg wouldn't be subtle if he was ever doing anything bad."
Yeah, you're
But
right.
truly,
You're right.
yeah, his real
Greg's playing
intents.
some
It's another,
four-dimensional chess.
Yeah, another 4D chess move from Greg.
4D chess Greg is another theory me and Sam had when watching this show, by the way.
Well, I think it's totally confirmed by his interview. Like he saw it as the game that it was, and he played
Yeah,
it.
no,
He
exactly. And
played
we
every
talked
single one.
when we watched. Like I think he was one of the few kids who had an adult enough mindset to think, okay, these are kids. This is a reality TV show, and I can win money on this.
Yeah.
Uh, and if you watch the show, like he doesn't make a strike for power until he and his buddies all have gold stars.
Right.
Right.
And that makes so much more sense when we get to learn that Greg's freak out wasn't actually before he got the gold star.
Yeah,
It
it was
was after
after.
he got the gold star.
It was
Yeah.
after.
Right.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
And
no,
Yeah.
no.
he even expresses like in the final stars, since he was part of the council, he wasn't up for them, eligible for the
Yeah.
final stars. He even
Right.
notes that he missed out on that one, and that was a mistake in
Yeah.
his strategy.
Like Greg is like, confound it. If only I had waited a little bit longer before making my play. But
That's really interesting. Yeah.
mm,
I wonder if he would have gotten it either. I mean,
I don't think so.
yeah, me either.
Because here's the thing, Greg would not have lasted that long without having another like complete. He had already gotten his gold star. I think his cockiness would have returned to him after getting the initial gold star, regardless, and that would have disqualified him from any further gold stars.
Yeah.
I just think if he left
Because-
the council after like the Iron Fist rule that he enacted,
Mhm.
nobody would people would not be down to nominate him for anything.
Yeah,
It's just crazy
yeah.
he got voted in. Honestly. Like based on
Well-
everybody's reaction.
What's surprising to me is that, well, I think by the time Greg got voted into power, uh, he had to put all his eggs in one basket, for lack of a better term, because he had already blown his popularity, right? Like as soon as he got the gold star, the first thing he did is he basically went into tyrant mode, right? He went into bully mode.
You mean
Because-
he whipped the town into shape?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He brought a new glorious era to Bonanza.
Of course, of
But-
course.
Like with him and Blaine's respect games, or the
Oh,
5-hour long sit-in session where they had to introduce themselves and then they'd restart.
That was so,
Like-
the way he said it. Like we knew it was a bad idea, but you don't back down.
Yep, yep.
That was a
Right.
poor moment.
And so like
Shared moment.
I think he knew at that point the only salvation for him was gripping onto his power. He like he said it himself in his interview, he couldn't back down after he had already invested so much into what was clearly a poor route to go down. You can't backtrack on things like that, or he'd be lynched by a righteous mob of kids.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think he just has too much pride, dude. I think he just can't like he again, he can't have regrets over like the show. Like he can't say, hey, maybe I should have yelled at all those children, and maybe that was like the
Right.
same mindset he had. He just
Uh-huh.
couldn't show weakness.
Mhm.
I think it worked. He broke the spirit of the town
He did.
under the,
Like,
under the will.
one of the
powers.
one of the most grim moments of the show, and I'll post a picture for reference for at least you guys. One of the most grim moments I feel is when after Michael has his breakdown, and like kind of cries in the bunk because there was that big confrontation on the street. There's that moment where Michael's like wedged in between all the big kids and kind of gets like pressured into this handshake. You know what I mean? And the handshake is basically him saying, "I'll work with you now, Greg. I'm not gonna be a dissenter anymore." Like it was actually kind
Feels
of the
like a mafia boss with like his associates around him.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It was the defining moment where Greg asserted himself over the town completely. Because Michael here is like, if he's like, they're all sitting on these hay bales, right? Michael's squished in between all of them. He's like red faced because he's been crying in his bunk, and no, it's just Greg saying, I'm going to be a man here, and you're gonna work with me here, and Michael's like, yeah, I promise I won't work against you anymore, Greg.
Oh
And
man.
yeah, it's a grim moment in the show, but it's also just
I don't
so glorious.
know. A lot of people like you can see it as grim, but if you're on board the Greg train, like
And here's the thing, I'm having to be a little bit more neutral about this because, as Eric implied earlier, I'm like all in on the Greg train. So
I
I'm
am
approaching
too.
this from the perspective of like a neutral viewer, and the neutral viewer in me says that that is a grim moment in the show.
Yeah, I think
I can see that for sure. Actually, I mean, just from the body language of all these people there, you
Mhm.
know, um, Greg's definitely in his power pose, and Michael definitely looks a little bit uncomfortable to be there.
And like you see his thugs DK him playing with their
yeah,
with
you
like
got the photo
off,
right here.
they're
Yeah,
awkwardly just like
It's like
staring at the
Reddit.
ground, like looking away from the master while he asserts
See no
himself.
evil.
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
exactly. I think what is crazy. I think the greatest like stark difference. So I mean, before we did the interview with Greg, when the so-called Council of Doom gets elected, we heard from like Morgan, Olivia, and other girls. They're like, yeah, like when this happened, like we were all like scared as shit. We're like, what the fuck is gonna happen now? Like Jesus
Yeah,
Mhm.
Christ,
I was
the
noting
four
that.
oldest guys. And then I asked Greg, I'm like, yo, what do you think when it was the four oldest guys? And he's like, yeah, it was great. Three strong guys on the council. What's better than that? And I thought it was funny as fuck how he left out Michael as if like,
Yeah, no,
Oh, poor
that is so
Michael, man.
good. Three strong
I
guys in the
didn't even
council.
pick up on that. That's
Here's
so
the thing,
funny.
that like Michael, I'd say Michael was strong in the sense that he early on was a very big resistance member against Greg. Green was in this big resistance against Greg's council, but I don't know if you could call him strong after the
right.
armistice he had with Greg, because Greg kind of broke him a little bit, I think.
I think when Greg was talking strong, I think he purely meant in terms of physical prowess, like
Hmm.
the three strongest guys.
Hmm.
I'm sure that's also something that him as a 15-year-old and maybe even as a 29-year-old now, like still values a lot.
Uh-huh.
Just
Right.
Hmm.
raw physical strength and power.
Hmm.
I can see the value in, but for
But like,
Maybe
leadership,
not in
maybe.
leadership. Yeah, maybe not in leadership. Maybe not quite in leadership.
I mean, I will say that does make sense from the perspective of like a child government. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like they're the big kids, bro. They're big and strong.
Big
We should
fish eat
listen to
small fish.
them.
Yeah.
Like the first council, I've compared to like monarchs before because they're entrenched powers that were put there and legitimized by something above them. Like a lot of monarchs had their legitimacy in God. The monarchs and Kid Nation's legitimacy was in the producers. The producers placed them there.
And in that
Right.
And
context, like the final council, the Council of Doom, uh,
it was like a revolt against that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really at least in that perception where you're using the producers as an analog to God. It's really an interesting council because it's so like openly working against the producers.
And in fact, you'll see that like the final council approaches the journal entirely separate from how the first council approached it. Anytime the first council saw something on the journal, it was all gung ho. The producer said it. It's law now. We're implementing this immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, and the first council ends up getting half replaced by like these young idealists who aren't strong or whatever, but they have a lot of big ideas about what to do to fix the town. They end up kind of bombing later down the road. They lose most of their challenges. Town kind of loses faith in them,
Dude,
and
I don't
That's
that
know if Zach
unfortunate.
deserved it though. I think Kylan did, but I don't know about Zach deserving the vote
well,
out.
the issue with Zach is he's the best that Yellow District had, but that is not saying much. Uh,
Uh,
I think
I
Zach was a
guess.
great guy or whatever, and was obviously a huge improvement over Taylor. but he inherited a district that was by its natural state against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Oh,
Yellow District was difficult.
half of Yellow District was going to be in constant revolt against Zach, and I think that alone dragged him down quite a bit.
So would you agree with the Blaine
Right.
vote in?
I would actually, with
Okay.
Blaine at least, because I think Blaine was one of the only. Because no matter what, if Taylor got elected, it would have been all the boys against Taylor.
Yeah.
If Zach got elected, it would have been all the Taylorites against Zach.
You know what I think does sort of make things more difficult for Zach was the fact that, I mean, you had a boy leave right pretty midway through the show, Cody.
True.
And then one of the big surprise Zach voters, Randy, also leaves.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
That's true.
Yeah, both yellow people did leave.
That's a
Oh,
really
yeah.
good point, actually. Two of his actual supporters left.
Yeah.
Right. So it was just it would have been an uphill battle if there was no Blaine. So I mean, it either would have been like probably Taylor taking over if she saw the opportunity,
And that's
Mhm.
that wouldn't get anything done.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but Taylor was like, she already had the tendencies of like a little tyrant in the making, you know? But
Y'all can
imagine Taylor after feeling vindicated and returning to power. You know what I mean? That would be an unstoppable force.
Imagine if she
Right.
had
I mean,
redemption.
she has already when she was a council member, like called herself like the queen and shit, or like
Mhm.
compared herself to President Bush. So I mean,
Oh man.
like
Queen
legitimately
Bush.
returning to power, that would have just been different. That would have been a different level of ego.
Exactly, because she
with
would have
her
felt
too.
completely vindicated.
With her too, we never confirmed this, but like Michael said, like she said some mean things about fat people.
Oh yeah, no, like she told Emily that fat people belong in zoos.
Yeah, like
Or
what?
yeah,
That
like
rings a bell.
apparently Taylor was kind of a bully off screen. Who'd have thunk?
Well, so,
But
but I
I'm
mean, I have to
shocked.
consider too, like, because I think a lot of the stuff they say is like producer push, but I think it's more of Taylor kind of just pushing because she knew it would get her on camera.
I
Like, I
think
kind of
that's
wonder if she
true.
did that on camera
Because keep in mind,
specifically.
she's a beauty pageant girl, right?
Right.
She's a pageant queen, and I think that's how a lot of them are taught to behave, to do things to get themselves in the spotlight.
Right,
Right,
right.
And
right. And also, just to address the notion. So, I mean, the notion that like producers incentivized people to do certain things, like definitely did happen to some degree here or there. For instance, Morgan organizing the religious service. But I think, the main primary notion of producers telling kids to do things mostly stems from a viewer perspective, just being like kids would not do that shit actually. For instance, I remember two instances that actually can both draw from the Greg experience. For one, I believe it was widely considered in the fan community that producers handed Greg chalk and told him to vandalize the town of Blaine. And two, that producers told Greg that some shit was going on at the Green Bunk and that he should listen in. But it turns out Greg just happened to listen in all on his own. Even when other members of Green Team thought that producers incentivized him. So I'd
Mhm.
say generally the as how the characters are seen is more or less accurate to how they are true. Like they're true to their TV portrayals pretty accurately, and more so than we as the viewers initially thought, I'd say.
Well, I mean, like again, like DK. I think DK and Taylor are two great examples of just them playing themselves up for the camera, purely because they knew they were on a show and they wanted to get the screen time because they knew it could have further prospects down the line. So, I mean, even if there wasn't producers pushing, there's kind of a personality change whenever a camera on you. You know.
Mhm.
I can
I
get
agree.
that.
I agree. I mean, DK's big fall. I mean, that happened in episode 1 to the point where he was still like really. if you're like trying to get screen time, that'd be more on his mind, probably episode 1. Also keep in mind, like, he's a drama queen no matter what. Like, to be honest, I think he probably would have screamed and cried anyways, just given the fact that they might throw him on top of the wagon and carry him around anyways.
I'm inclined to agree for the most part. I feel like Taylor is as she is. It's not entirely an act. I feel like. Or
I mean, she had redemption though. She had
Did
redemption
she?
near the end. Yeah. When with the arcade stuff, when the arcade stuff was going down.
But
Remember,
like,
she started doing actual work.
but it wasn't out of like a selfless drive to work and prove herself. It was, I want to go play video games. So I'm gonna clean these dishes. Like, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. In the context of like what she had done up until that point, I guess it could be considered redemption.
Yeah.
Because
I
like
mean, she
just
is young
expected-
too.
Exactly. This is a child we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is not reflective
true.
on like. But like,
Taylor, please
people-
come on for an interview still.
That's the problem
we're
with
just
this,
saying
is,
about
like,
this now.
I came at the show with like opinions of like characters in a show, so like very like
strong
polarized.
opinions. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, seeing the interviews, like, it really humanizes people to the point where I have to like walk back some of my opinions.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I can't say that anymore. I forgot this is a real person that like still exists.
It is.
We need to get him. What's his name? What's his name? The kid who like has a single line in the entire show. We need to get him.
Oh my God.
Brett. Yeah. How could I have forgotten Brett? We need to
How,
get
dude?
Dude, I'm really
can you
posting cringe
remember?
over here.
Brett's such a character. He should have got more screen time.
Yeah, we need to get a Brett interview, dude.
We've looked for him. I can't find like anything related to
For
that
real.
guy.
Man.
He must have changed his last name, honestly, or
Just
I don't know.
disappeared.
I mean, he didn't
Yeah.
strike me as the type to have social media. You know how you can
Well,
just
he
get
wanted
that
the
vibe?
TV.
Like Jarrett. I don't know, man. I just don't. People with glasses don't use social media. It's
Dang.
It's true.
Bro,
Yeah.
Cody got an Instagram though. Cody got a Facebook and an Instagram.
And Mike. And Mike.
never mind. I'm totally wrong.
Yeah, Cody's gonna come on at some point too.
Bro,
I
you
was
forgetting Anjay? Anjay was our first interview, bro.
Yeah, true. Anjay, dude.
He wasn't wearing glasses in that interview.
He was.
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah.
I
will
he
literally
was.
get you an image.
Anjay,
I'm going
Eric
right now.
Barber interview. I gotta see. I'm gonna see this, and I'm gonna see if he's wearing glasses or not in the interview. No, he is. Okay. Yeah, I was wrong. I was mistaken.
That was a terrible stereotype for the glasses community, dude.
Yeah, I'm a disgusting person,
I
As a
can't
person
believe
with
you'd stereotype
glasses,
him like that.
bro. I should be sent to one of.
I mean, it is kind of
Greg's
true. It goes half and half because Alex, Jared, and who else?
Brett,
It's just Alex
Brett.
and Jared who don't.
No, it's Alex, Jared, and Brett. They all have glasses.
Oh
and
yeah,
they're
Alex, Jared, and Brett, and then
and they're
the-
unreachable. Like,
right, Alex, Jared, and Brett, and then the ones who are reachable is Cody, Mike, and Anjay.
okay,
actually
so
amazing
Glasses,
we
too.
reached so
I
many
was-
people.
He's pretty big on social media.
I was half right. 50%
You were half right.
50% of people with glasses.
You
do
can
not
also say you're
use
half
social media.
wrong as well.
Yes, precisely. I'm half wrong about this.
I just think it's amazing we've reached so many already. Like the interviews.
Yeah,
I
I
never
know.
thought that there would be this many people willing to go on interviews.
Really, I think it was. This is all, but I think in some way this is all just due to Anjay being
I'm
a champ
recording a podcast.
and being willing to do the interview, because I feel like a lot of the people are doing the interviews because they see that there are other Kid Nation kids who've done it, and that gives an air of legitimacy. Eric is obviously going to have a way more informed or accurate take, but just from what I've seen, it does seem like just the fact that we got one guy to do an interview at all is what kind of opened the doors to asking others to do interviews.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so on to that point, yeah, I definitely think that part is a huge contribution. I also have a pretty strong belief that Generally, if you aren't like Taylor, Jared, or Greg, you probably, or Laurel, or like a council leader or a big character, like you probably have not gotten asked to do an interview. For instance, like I know Maggie, like no one's approached Maggie for an interview except for her local newspaper when she just like finished up the show. You
Well,
know?
really?
Right.
Yeah, so
I
it's
mean,
definitely a mixed bag with people. Like for instance, like someone like Taylor probably honestly gets an interview request every week, whereas
Oh
someone
man.
like Randy or Sophie, not Sophia, Sophie probably hasn't gotten one ever. You know?
Mhm.
yeah, well, I've messaged her. I've messaged her before, man. I haven't got anything back.
Bro,
Man,
I
yeah.
think she has her DMs open.
who? Sophia?
Sophie.
Oh, Sophie.
Yeah.
Sophie, yellow team
And
member.
then
I mean,
Randy interestingly had interview for the documentary that is under wraps as well.
like
Right, dude. I'm gonna be real. I think that documentary. I feel like if they can't get some of the big guys that like we haven't been able to get, I don't think that one will really go too well. Especially if they don't have like cars or anything.
Right.
You can't
Well,
really
hopefully
build
they
a
got the
documentary
money
off of
for
like
it.
their
Yeah,
B
yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
Especially because Greg says he's only done one interview ever, which is with me. So I mean, like, I don't know how you can do a Kid Nation documentary if you don't have fucking
Didn't he
Greg.
say this is?
Honestly.
Didn't he say that's like the only one he's going to do as well?
Yeah.
What Chad?
I don't know. It was apparently, again, Eric. This is something you're going to be way more informed in. But like when he said he was going to help his elderly neighbor move, and then he just vanished. When you were initially going to do the interview, I wonder if he just like was really unreceptive to the idea of doing an interview, and then just decided one day, screw it, and that's why he was like, "Well, I'm not doing this again."
I think you're absolutely right. So a little bit of context to like how that interview even happened. At one point, I was pretty desperate to try and get Greg on for one. Like Tilt announced that we were gonna get Greg, and there's actually a day that we're gonna do it. And I was literally sitting in a fucking Discord call by myself for like 2 hours waiting
Oh
for this to
man.
happen. And everyone was just messaging like, "What the hell's going on?" Tilt was getting a lot of heat for it. He felt pretty embarrassed, I think. And I was just like, "All right, shit, dude. We really screwed the pooch on this one." And every like week or so, I message Greg and I'm like, "Yo, dude, I'd really appreciate you coming on, dude. Like, hope things are better with the old lady and stuff." At one point, I even threw out $100 if he wanted to do it just for his time. Obviously, that's not like probably not a lot of money to a 29-year-old, but it'd probably be worth it for like a 45-minute interview.
I mean,
don't
it's a
think
lot for
Greg-
you. You're a college student, so like,
Yeah, exactly. At that time I wasn't monetized either, so it would have just been $100 to have him, and I wouldn't see a return on that investment. But I kept messaging him, and then he never replied or anything. So I was like, oh shit, like things are really fucked up, And when things are going bad, you sort of get all these ideas in your head too. There are a lot of people messaging me about like, how did I get in contact with Greg? I was like,
man.
I'm not gonna give you guys like his contact information just because that's borderline doxing,
Yeah, no, it is doxing actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
So
that
I'm
is
like,
literal. That is what doxing is.
yeah, exactly. So at that point, I was like, I don't even have his consent for this. Now I'm good. And then so I was like, man, maybe they just contacted him on their own behalf and just fucked everything up. But then like Greg messages me like probably 6 weeks after I first messaged him, and he actually just got surgery for his collarbone, which is fucked up. So he couldn't do any work at all. So I think he was just bored as hell because he just had surgery. And that's when he had like all this free time, especially because of quarantine. Like he literally couldn't do anything but come on this interview. At that point, he was like, "All right, I'll come on."
Yeah.
Did you bring up the fact that you literally offered him like $100 and he
Oh
just
yeah, he
can't
did. He
see it?
did.
Wait, so you
Okay.
guys
Yeah.
offered Greg $100?
Yeah.
He offered Greg $100 to come on the show,
He
but
never took it. Thankfully.
ultimately Greg just came on, I think, because he got bored one day.
I'd take
Yeah.
the $100. I'd be like, yo, what's up?
Like, oh, sorry, hey, get this just in. I just finished helping the old lady. I'll take that
Yeah.
$100.
Took me all week, man. Been
Yeah.
here.
I'm not. I don't. I'm not too proud to say that I wouldn't take $100 to chat for an hour. So.
Hey,
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
I think it's a good deal.
yeah,
No, it's a fantastic deal. A
yeah,
hundred
yeah.
dollars for an hour, and you're not even working in that hour.
No.
Right, right.
Uh, yeah. It's still like insane because that was just probably the biggest one, and will stay the biggest one for a while until Taylor comes on, which is in the works
Oh
Mhm.
man,
eventually.
Right.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
gonna be a good one.
Kennedy contacted Taylor for us, and she
What
says
a
she's up
jam!
to it. She just needs her schedule worked out.
That's gonna be
Kennedy,
a
Yeah.
by
good
the
one.
way, Kennedy, by the way, has blown me away how active she is in the community. I thought that
Crazy.
was so cool.
Yeah.
Like
Uh,
I've seen her have like casual discussions with people in the Discord and whatnot.
yeah, yeah. Discord in the description, by the way. Discord in the description.
Hmm.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you better join it.
Yeah,
And
guys, Kennedy will literally talk to you guys.
I do feel bad though about Anjay. Okay, because he was like active for a little bit, and then he kind of just lost activity, and I, it's like something in me that like feels like it's because his interview was the worst quality because it was the first interview that he just never wants to talk with us again. I just
I
feel
don't
Yeah.
so
think
bad.
but I don't see how that works. He's like, bro, this video quality's bad. I'm never talking to these people again.
I don't know, man. I just feel like anxious about that because I've messaged him a few times about like helping contact, and I've got no reply. Just nothing.
Yeah.
I'll be
I
honest.
mean, it probably just respect his privacy, you know. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's cool enough that he's in the Discord at all, you
for
I'll
know.
just
sure,
be
for
honest.
sure.
If I was on the show, I'd be one of like the people that you just can't get a response from. Like being on a show, like that's enough. I don't think I could take like the kind of judgment that I've levied at these kids.
I
Well, for
mean,
real though, mad respect to both Eric and Zach for messaging back and telling us directly, "Nah, I'm not. I don't want to do this."
mhm.
Like for real,
Yeah.
that is like I like we've contacted a bunch of people and we just got nothing. Like Mike, but it's really appreciated when they actually like just directly say, "Hey, I don't want to do it."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like mad respect
That's
for
what
that.
Eric did, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Both Eric
Yeah.
and Zach were the two
Not Eric
who've.
Barber, but
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Eric from Green Team.
right. Which is like so legit. I mean, I kind of wonder like why they don't want to, but
I think,
respect for them to tell us.
maybe they're just, I don't know, like it's probably something they want to move past. I mean, like what, like Zach was literally in the 5th grade. Like I'm sure he's done a lot of really cool accomplishments that he just wants to be known for outside of a reality show he was on when he was in the 5th grade. You know,
uh
But I think it's
like
touched on in a few of the interviews. Like the people online had, myself included, have and had polarizing views
oh
on how
man,
these
talk
kids
about polar.
acted.
Some people online have been like genuinely evil though. Like the people who like sent death threats to Olivia, or like I'm sure like imagine how Olivia was portrayed on the show, right? And she still got like some pretty horrific stuff sent to her. Think of what Taylor's had to put up with, you
Dude,
know.
I'd try to be invisible too,
I
if I
mean,
was on the
her
show.
Instagram still is filled with deal with it comments, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
It's crazy.
I
which
mean,
is
you
kind of
like them,
cringe at
but
this point, honestly. Like she's an adult, you're making a joke about like something she said on a show like 15 years ago.
it's funny.
Right.
Like it is a funny moment in the show, but like I feel like if you step back and like realize, she's not a funny character from your favorite TV show. She's a real person.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And you know I say anyone who doesn't deal with it.
Mm.
Goodness.
I think we use it against them. That's the solution. We fight fire with fire.
Well, it's been about an hour, right?
Yeah, we're at like hour 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Thanks a
probably
lot, Eric. It's awesome
Yeah,
to
thanks.
have you on.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great talking
Yeah,
with
pleasure,
you.
boys. A pleasure.
Yeah, our
And I thought
debut
this.
episode.
I actually think this went really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, expect an episode 2.
Hmm.
I think
That'd be
I
cool.
can say that pretty confidently.
No, yeah, no, I wasn't
sure.
super confident before doing this actually.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
okay,
Never
I'm not
confident.
trying to like, I'm not dissing you or whatever. I was totally willing to do this pilot. It's just like I was worried about my own ability to carry on a conversation. You know what I mean?
Dang. Yeah.
I feel the same way. I get it. I'm not really a confident person in my own
Fair.
interestingness.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, this is my first podcast I've appeared on, so I appreciate you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun.
Dude, when you
Yeah,
go
Glad
big,
we got to
remember
talk
your
to you.
roots.
Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast is your roots, bro.
The one
Yeah,
and
we're who
only.
made you big.
Yeah, we're the reason you're gonna get famous, Eric. You're you're gonna have to pay us like $1 million each to keep us quiet.
Yeah.
Once you're huge.
Cut that part out. Cut that part out. All right. Yeah, we'll have your channel in the description if somehow you have not watched the Eric Barber interviews and you've stuck through this podcast.
You
And
definitely should. There's some really interesting stuff in them.
for sure. And then the Discord will probably be down there too, which is popping. You better join the
Always.
Discord. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I don't know. I think we just end it there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we do. This is the awkward part where it's like, wait, this isn't recorded anymore.